And a crime scene develops for local police helping the community at a charity event.
City Council lessens the red tape on pot permits for dispensaries. Here are the conditions coming up.
A historic Catholic ceremony in Italy this weekend. We'll explain.
April showers are on the way, and we have how long they're going to last, plus your weekend forecast. News Scene starts now.
Hello and welcome to News Scene. I'm Shakina Blake.
And I'm Joshua Lipton. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday evening in San Diego.
Now we have a follow-up for last week's story regarding Dean Kathy McGinnis. She's back on campus working in a different capacity.
Until last week, McGinnis was the Dean of Athletics and Exercise Science, but she is being temporarily reassigned to administrative duties following an investigation into allegations that a student athlete on the men's volleyball team was ineligible.
A group of faculty and staff members appeared before the Board of Trustees meeting earlier this week. Those minutes have not been made known to the public, and we will continue to follow this story and keep you updated. Now, police are still searching following a brazen robbery in LA last weekend. The victims were law enforcement officers in San Diego. Carrie Bryant is here with the latest.
That's right. Thank you, Shakina. Thank you, Josh. It all happened last weekend during a charity football game. Dozens of police agencies are members of the National Public Safety Football League, designed to raise money for different charities. But while the officers took to the field, a thief got into the locker room, stealing their guns, badges, and credentials from their duffel bags.
The crime happened here at Bishop Morris Lawson High School during a match with LAPD. The officers had just left the locker room with their belongings behind and took to the field, giving thieves the perfect opportunity to strike. It wasn't until halftime when the San Diego team known as the Enforcers discovered the items missing. Those items including many of their service weapons, badges, and credentials. The items of San Diego law enforcement and Border Patrol officers were stolen. One of the players, who is now a victim, is Vice President and running back of the San Diego Enforcers, Jordan Maracan. He is also a sergeant with the San Diego City Campus Police.
The game started at 4 o'clock, and sometime between 4 and 5:30, which was the first half, the San Diego Enforcers locker room was burglarized, and items were stolen from players' bags. Those items included firearms, badges, and credentials, which are police IDs.
As soon as the items were discovered missing, police began searching the area by air and on the ground, but it was too late.
You know, I think really what affects us with this is that it was done in broad daylight at an event that was a law enforcement-based event where we were all out there doing something good for the community. We were out there to raise money for LAPD's charity.
On Monday, officers and canine sniffing dogs were seen at the school working near the football field. As of now, there are no suspects and no leads.
Well, going forward, we're cooperating with the Los Angeles Police Department Commercial Crimes Division. We're providing them with the information that they've requested, serial numbers from the guns, badge IDs, pictures of those badges and what they look like, and anything that they need to make their investigation easier.
Of course, the concern now is that the stolen guns are out there somewhere, and officers fear some of the credentials and badges may be used unlawfully. Police advise anyone who is concerned about being pulled over by someone impersonating an officer to call 911 and request another officer on site. We'll keep you up with the details, but that's all I have here for now.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. On Wednesday, a judge ruled that former San Diego police officer Chris Hayes would stand trial. Hayes is accused of false imprisonment and sexual battery. In a preliminary hearing, the judge ruled there was enough evidence to go to trial. Hayes is charged with 2 felony and 3 misdemeanors. A judge found the testimony from 3 of 4 alleged victims to be credible, truthful, and accurate. If convicted, 30-year-old Christopher Hayes could get up to 4 years in prison. He remains free on $130,000 bail. Hayes will be back in court May 7th for his arraignment.
And a San Diego police officer is now on suspension after being arrested earlier this week. Officer Gilbert Lorenzo was taken into custody on Tuesday in LA and La Mesa under suspicion of beating his wife. He faces possible felony and prosecution and remains on compulsory leave without pay. The arrest comes after a series of cases involving alleged misconduct of other San Diego police officers.
And speaking of guns, a new gun law in Georgia expands the range of public places where licensed owners can carry firearms. The Safe Carry Protection Act has been called extreme by opponents, but applauded by the National Rifle Association. It allows gun owners to carry their weapons in bars, schools, churches, and even some parts of the airport. This new law also eliminates fingerprinting for renewing licenses and prevents the state from creating a database of those licensed owners.
And people are still scratching their heads as to how a 15-year-old boy was able to sneak onto an airfield, hide in a wheel well, and survive a 5-hour flight.
I was really shocked, and I'm just really glad that he made it and he's all right now. Yeah, I'm just worried about his family.
Haya Abdi flew from California to Hawaii in the wheel of a plane. He said he wanted to fly home to see his mom in Somalia. Investigators believe he hid in the first plane he saw. As to how Haya could survive freezing temperatures and lack of oxygen at such a high altitude, authorities think he blacked out at the beginning of the flight. The lucky teen is recovering in a hospital in Maui. The San Jose Airport and TSA are investigating the breach in the security.
The 4 men accused of brutally beating a 54-year-old Detroit man are being sent to trial this week. It was tense in court as Latrez Cummings, James Davis, Wanzi Saffold, and Bruce Wimbush Jr. all faced charges in the beating of Steve Utash, showing little remorse and even giving the middle finger to the media. The incident occurred on April 2nd when Utash hit a 10-year-old boy who ran in front of his car. He went to see if the child was hurt and was then mobbed by the accused and nearly beaten to death. Utash remains in critical care where his condition seems to be worsening.
We thought he was starting to come back out, and he's not. He don't even know. Sometimes he thinks he knows your name, but he's just saying your name because someone else said your name.
Now, many people witnessed the event, but Utash's saving grace was ex-nurse Deborah Hughes, who rushed to his aid, scaring off his attackers and potentially saving his life.
And the fight over the emotional and intense topic of affirmative action continued this week. California Senator Ed Hernandez proposed a bill that would allow voters to rescind the state's current ban. Families from the Asian American community are opposed to the bill and taking steps against it. And on a national level, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Michigan voter-supported law that also bans racial criteria for university admissions. Both moves sparked questions about the future of equal opportunity in higher education.
With the investigation underway in the fiery bus crash near Sacramento, the mother of 17-year-old Jennifer Bonilla is now suing after her daughter's tragic death. A $100 million lawsuit was filed in LA County this week, claiming Federal Express knew of previous incidents with vehicles catching fire and was negligent, and now it was operating its vehicles at the time of the accident. The tour bus was taking many students to Humboldt State University for a campus tour when it was struck by the FedEx truck.
And a video of a reckless mail delivery in Kentucky caught on camera has gone viral. The video shows a postal worker throwing packages from the window of his truck onto a driveway. According to the homeowner, one of the packages contained a $400 tablet. The U.S. Postal representative, David Van Allen, released a statement saying that they are disappointed with the actions of the worker and that they are investigating the issue.
And tax day was just over a week ago, and most of the Internal Revenue Service did not even pay their own taxes and, of course, got rewarded for it. According to an Inspector General's report, the IRS handed out nearly $1.1 million in bonuses in a 27-month period. The bonuses went to over 1,000 employees who had been disciplined for failing to pay taxes. Among those employees, there were 1,000 more that received performance awards within 1 year of disciplinary action, such as suspension, written reprimands for drug use, and other misconducts.
And for the first time in 15 years, the entire state of California is in drought. A new assessment released yesterday reveals 100% of the state is in some stage of drought. The ranges from moderate to extreme conditions, according to the National Drought Mitigation Center. Nearly 25% of the state is considered to be an exceptional drought. San Diego is considering a mandatory restrictions on water uses. This would urge residents to cut usage by 10%. No word on yet when this might take effect.
And speaking of the drought, it's important to plant drought-tolerant plants this gardening season. Reporter Alexa Bertola tells us all about the growing popularity of one type of plant that's great for our environment.
Springtime is here, so what better time to plant a new garden? One type of plant many people are turning to this spring are succulents. Their uniqueness and beauty, along with their low maintenance, are contributing factors to their growing popularity. The owner of one of San Diego's original cactus and succulent nursery explains.
The sales of our succulents are way up this year, and I think that's due to several reasons. People are planting because it's spring, and everyone's thinking about how to improve their garden, and also the water restrictions and the problems that we're having with water in the state are dictating that people need to plant things that use less water and that require less care.
One of the major benefits of these plants is their ability to store water in their leaves. This is especially beneficial in California during times of drought. Succulents are ideal for our weather here in Southern California. A local homeowner with a passion for succulents breaks down what's required when starting your new garden.
It's going to be some work. You have to have patience because you may have some of the plants die that you're just not used to putting natives in the ground, as opposed to putting regular ornamental plants that, yeah, you water them, you take care of them, but here you don't want to water them too much.
Keep in mind that succulents don't need to be watered more than once a week and can last a couple of months with no water at all. There are hundreds of types of succulents, so get out there and experiment and see what works best for you. Reporting for News Scene, I'm Alexa Bertola with photojournalist Ronnie Doss.
And keep in mind that today is National Arbor Day, so you might want to add some trees to your new garden. We might be getting some wet weather this weekend, but that's the best time to start planting.
And find out who's on the lineup for the Bolts 2014 season after the break.
And a San Diego native makes history on the one-year anniversary of the Boston Marathon bombings.